As we come out of Charlotte, we have big stories. Martin Truex Jr. wins again, Kyle Busch cries again, and we exit a weekend of fantastic racing action from Charlotte and move to the boring hills of Pocono, which, guys, you all have heard me say it. I hate Pocono, but I'm going to be honest, objective. We're going to walk through this. Plus, why hasn't Kevin Harvick won this season? Fox News broke it down, and I'm not sure I agree with them. He's Corey. I'm Chris. This is the C&J Speedway Review. Folks, do not adjust your headphones. Yes, you did hear Corey slobber about 50 times. Welcome to the C&J Speedway Review. My name is Chris Burns. On the other side of the screen is my partner in crime, Mr. Corey Huffnagel. And behind the scenes, the man behind the curtain, do not expose him, back in the saddle after a 2-week vacation, Mr. Eddie Focus. Corey, how are you doing tonight?
Well, I'm doing all right. I know it's been a rough, pretty much about a week or so, and I just want to say that yesterday we had the funeral for my sister, and all I could just say is, that one was very tough, and um, but I will say that going into yesterday, the funeral mass that we had yesterday, we had it at St. John the Baptist Church in Peabody. The amount of people that showed up, I could have hardly even imagined. I had to say there was probably maybe 90 plus people that showed up yesterday, and I thought it was just phenomenal. I mean, words just can't describe it. We gave her a big send off yesterday, but it is really tough, and but I am gonna miss her dearly. And I actually have one of those I have one of her prayer cards that's sitting on top of the shelf over there. You guys could hardly even see it, but yeah, I'm gonna pretty much carry that everywhere I go, and it's and like I said, last Friday, during my go kart event, I pretty much said to myself, you know what, second place didn't really matter. What did matter was I was racing for my sister on Friday, and everywhere I go now, I'm definitely gonna race in her honor, and that's what's gonna be really great about it, and I'm really thrilled about it too.
Good. And again, get last and subsequent phone call to you Tuesday night. Our hearts are with you,
Thank you.
your family, and everybody affected by this. Fantastic job in your go karting event. Like you said, second place, nothing to sneeze at. But no. we're going to talk a little NASCAR right now. In fact, let's just swing the other way. We had two big races on Sunday that we should at least give a few minutes to. First was Monaco, and second was the Indy 500. Now, I'll go to the Indy 500 because I watched about half the race at a family gathering. Pagenaud, what a race for that guy. Did not see it coming. I really didn't think he had a chance, but with all the crashes, the red flags, etc., Pagenaud took advantage of a lot of really good real estate to capture that win.
Yeah, indeed he did, and also I could just probably say, what a job that NBC did, especially for their first time, doing the Indianapolis 500, along with, Danica Patrick and Dale Jr. I thought those guys did pretty good, and but I would have to say, it came down to the last couple laps when, everybody was doing all those slingshot moves going into the corners. And I swear, I thought it was going to be a photo finish between him and Alexander Rossi. But what a great Indianapolis 500 that turned out. I thought it was exciting. Of course, it came down to the end, and pretty much Roger Penske earned his 18th Indianapolis 500 win. And I will have to say this: when you drive for Roger Penske, you're expected to win not only a championship, but you're expected to win an Indianapolis 500. But this is the one thing that I really think that everybody kind of got a wrong perspective. A year ago, Pagenaud went winless last year, and everybody thought, all right, what's wrong with Pagenaud? How come he's not winning? He is an IndyCar champion, whatever it is, and so forth. So go to the week before, or I should say probably say 2 weeks before the Indy 500, he wins the Grand Prix of Indianapolis, which of course, it's the prequel to the Indianapolis 500. So it's kind of like, how Daytona does their speed weeks, you get the Clash, the qualifying, and then qualifying races, and then of course the 500. Indianapolis is kind of like that. Let's just say it's their speed weeks, for IndyCar. You get the Grand Prix of Indy, you get qualifying, you get carb day, and then bump day, and then, of course, then you get last minute tune-ups, and then you get the 500. So fast forward to Pagenaud wins the Grand Prix, and then of course he wins the pole for the Indianapolis 500. So now everyone says, okay, maybe Pagenaud's onto something. And then of course, I want to say I think Pagenaud led like the most laps of that race. I forget how many laps he led, but man, he had a strong car, especially right at the end. And I would probably say, had he not make that slingshot move at the end, it would have cost him. But yeah, good job for that 22 team. And not only that, the Indianapolis 500 was also double points as well. So I think Pagenaud is up by about one over, I want to say, his teammate Newgarden. And I guess now the IndyCar guys are on their way to Belle Isle for a doubleheader weekend as well.
Yes, and again, I'm not a big fan of the open wheel racing as far as the Indy cars go. Never been a fan of the sound, the action. I always check out Indy. So if it's the one race I watch a year, I'm rarely disappointed. So it was really great to see that particular race, the Indianapolis 500, Simon Pagenaud coming home the winner. Now, you know a little bit more about Monaco than I do. All I know is it's in Monaco. So tell us who won and what you thought in about 3 minutes or
Well, here's the thing. I'm going to give it like less than 3 minutes because, to be honest, guys, I did not get a chance to watch the Monaco Grand Prix. I still have it DVR'd, unfortunately. So of course, this was the first race in the morning. So it was won by none other than Lewis Hamilton, who won the Monaco Grand Prix. And it's actually kind of funny because they only had one caution in this race, which was debris caution. And other than that, it was just, green flag laps all the way in. And of course, Hamilton led from start to finish. But what was also cool about this was after Hamilton won the race, he dedicated it to the late Niki Lauda, who ended up passing away. I think it was like a few weeks ago, I want to say, or about a week ago. And so, folks, if anybody doesn't, if anybody doesn't know the rivalry of Niki Lauda and James Hamilton, James Hunt. I'm sorry, James Hunt. So that was a rivalry that was like, I want to say like in the mid 70s to early 80s. And then of course, when Lauda had his bad accident, I think it was right around like somewhere around in the mid 70s. I forget what year, but that was a really good rivalry, especially in Formula One. And of course, they also have a movie about that. It's called Rush. And I believe one of the Hemsworth brothers, I forget, I think it's either Chris or Liam Hemsworth, plays James Hunt in the movie. And then I forget who plays Niki Lauda, but it's a really good movie, especially if you're a big Formula One fan. And of course, and I thought the helmet, that the design from Niki Lauda days, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yes, everything about, the victory to Niki Lauda, fantastic. Memorial Day is probably Christmas. You get every kind of racing possible, and then you can just overdose on now with places like NBCSN and NBC doing additional coverage and little specials here and there. There was one, I want to say it was on NBCSN late Sunday night after the Coca-Cola 600, which was called I Am Dale Earnhardt, which I had seen before, but I watched it again. And what a phenomenal, phenomenal production that show was. But now we move on. MSN.com and Fox Sports both ran similar stories today as to why Kevin Harvick hasn't won in 2019. And being a Kevin Harvick fan, I don't want this to monopolize the day, but I read it with great intensity. One website had 10 reasons. One website had 6 reasons. But when you look at them, they were pretty generic. If you're a race writer, and I'll always point to Jenna Hunter, who I believe that's her name, Jenna Hunter or Jenna Hunter. One of the better NASCAR drivers. If I'm getting her name wrong, somebody please chime in and I'll correct myself next week. One of the best NASCAR writers. She used to work for Yahoo, I believe. You better come up with something more than, well, hey, this is his first winless season since, this. And then, again, I can tell you why Kevin Harvick's not winning this season as a Harvick fan. We've talked about it on this show. The Gibbs guys have figured it out. The Penske guys have figured it out. It's not hard to say out loud that right now Stewart-Haas is behind the curve. Yes, Stewart-Haas is always in contention. I'm looking at the list right now of, the points. Harvick's in 4th. I know I'm jumping the gun. Harvick's in 4th, Boyer 11th, Suarez 13th, Almirola 12th. All 4 cars in championship contention. The problem is stupid mistakes on pit road by either the crew or the driver, dumb mistakes on the track, and generally just a brain fart. Let's call it that. Why hasn't Harvick won this year? Brain fart. It's that simple.
Right.
So if you're the racing writer for MSN or Fox, quit. Just quit, because you haven't nailed it. You're talking about all these things from the past. You're basically comparing the 2019 season, which we're not even at halfway yet, to past seasons. Say, oh, well, he bounced back. You know, one year he didn't win until Sonoma, and his championship season, he didn't win until here. That's great. That's the past. Why hasn't he won in 2019? The answer is simple. Brain fart. Thank you. F you. Bye.
Well,
So,
I will.
Corey.
Well, I will say this.
Oh, no, go ahead. Go.
Well, I will say this. There has been 3 different times in his career where he's gone winless. 2004, 08, and 09. And actually, it was funny because the last time he's ever had a winless season was 2009. And that year, he only had 5 top 5s and 9 top 10s and an average finish of 19.9. And this was when he was driving for RCR at the time as well.
Mm-hmm. It was a season, and I'm sorry I'm not looking at the camera. I'm writing something down, but I can still talk. That was a junk season.
Mm-hmm.
That was right around the time he signed, I believe it was a 5-year extension with RCR. He wasn't sure where he was going, what he was doing. The crew didn't know where they were going, what they were doing. Basically, head wasn't in the game. I could liken this to my stepdaughter's softball game tonight. These are a bunch of 13 and 14-year-old girls who are playing softball, but their minds are so enraptured in other things. You know, they all have different activities. Their 8th grade graduations are coming up. Their head's not in the game. Sometimes it's a lackluster performance. They pick it up here, they pick it up there. But their head, and you can't blame them. Their heads are in a different place, much like watching a quarterback or an all-star third baseman in a contract year. Yeah, sometimes they're fighting for a contract, and other times they're like, I don't know what my future is going to be like. It was a lot like watching the Bruins last night in overtime. They weren't sure what to do.
Right.
But we're not going to talk about hockey tonight. We'll save that for a later date. But right now, Corey, if you don't have anything else that you want to bring up in the news, we can go right to Charlotte and talk about the weekend that was with the Xfinity and the Cup.
All right. So basically, there's really not much to talk about in the news, but yeah, we could definitely jump into Pocono.
First, we go to Charlotte. Let's not.
I'm sorry, Charlotte. I'm sorry, Charlotte. Jeez, I didn't even know that Pocono was your favorite.
If I could reach through the screen and slap you, I would.
I'm kidding.
That's what, you want to get shot? Because that's how you get shot. Okay.
Nah.
There is a story I'd like to cover really quickly, and I know people are blowing this up way out of proportion. To me, it's just, wow, Kyle's crying again. The late stages of the race, I think it was in the 4th stage, as a matter of fact, through the radio, Kyle Busch, who, if I'm not mistaken, and generally Corey will correct me if I'm wrong, was running 2nd at the time.
Yeah.
Basically said, and I'm sure he was just saying it out of anger, tell Joe Gibbs I quit. Wow. Are you that much of a baby that because you're not winning, you're going to quit or you're going to threaten to quit? You guys wonder, and I know I've gotten a lot of heat from listeners of this show, from friends of mine, from everybody from the president down to Just Toss Salad. Stop picking on Kyle. Stop it. He's what this sport needs. He's vociferous, and we need somebody like that. We don't need somebody who, over his radio, because he's not winning, where he just thinks that, hey, I'm Kyle Busch. I should run up front, and everybody should follow me. Kyle, everybody has an off day. Get over yourself. End of rant. Thank you very much. What'd you think of that story?
Well, honestly, I'd have to say, even though the fact that he's won 3 races this year, and to say that out of frustration, I thought that was kind of hoopla that he did that. And it was actually kind of funny because there was a side story of that. I guess when, of course, Kyle Busch was apparently there was an article. They said that Kyle Busch, I guess, filed his resignation to Joe Gibbs, and then of course there was another article that said that Corey LaJoie was going to apply his application to JGR, and I thought to myself, I'm not sure if I like that decision because, of course, Corey, he is a he has driven for a low funded team, and I don't know if he could drive for a top funded team. Now, I don't know if this is basically true or not that that he filed a resignation at Joe Gibbs Racing, but I would have to say that if Kyle were to leave Joe Gibbs Racing tomorrow, he basically pretty much everybody'd be like, all right, well, where is he going to go? Because obviously, somebody said, oh, he's going to go back to Hendrick. I doubt he's going to go back to Hendrick. Okay,
There's
well,
no room.
Well, there's no room in Hendrick. Unfortunately, there's no room in Hendrick. But I would probably say that he goes somewhere at Cup. But I mean, I don't know. Like if he does leave, there's just I can't even make a decision where he could go.
Let's put it this way: if in fact he has filed paperwork, which again none of us know, but if he has, the only place he could go is the 48 if he was going to go to Hendrick, because I think Johnson's contract runs out either at the end of this season or next season. Would Johnson step aside? He's not exactly tearing the world up. He's not visited victory lane since I don't know when.
Well,
So,
Johnson hasn't won since
let's be
Dover in
honest.
2017.
Okay, so nearly 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah. Where can you go? And I think his contract is up in 2020. So
Yeah.
if Kyle's going to go anywhere, I don't think anybody's on a contract year in some of these bigger teams, whether it be Stewart-Haas, Penske, RCR. And RCR is not lighting the world on fire either.
No.
So, if Kyle wants to kick the sand and boo-hoo me and whatever, you know what? I've had enough. I've really had enough. I'm about ready to just sell off Kyle Busch part and parcel, not even mention his name. I don't care if he wins, but I haven't gotten to that point yet. Let's see what the weeks transpire, and let's just go from there. But now we go to Charlotte and the Xfinity race, which wow, Tyler Reddick comes home with the win. I didn't see a lot of the race. Again, I saw the 2-minute highlight package. Why don't you tell us what happened? What was great about this race?
What's actually good about this race on Saturday was pretty much, Tyler Reddick just made a championship statement. So what I kind of thought about was, okay, so Tyler gets 2 wins of the season. Bell already has 3 wins of the season, and Custer only has 2. So what I'm thinking is, Reddick, Custer, and Bell, those are the guys that I think are going to make the championship 4, no question about it. Now, you talk about your 4th guy that's going to make that championship 4. I would have to say it. I have to pick one right now. I think it might just be Brandon Jones, because he's another guy at Joe Gibbs Racing that's also been running fast and also running good as well. Now, there was a couple times in this race where we've had a couple tire failures, and not to mention it was also like 90 degrees, which of course everybody was exhausted like after the race and stuff, and everything else in between. But then yet again, when you're driving on a hot racetrack, you're going to have to drive your hearts out and everything else and so forth. But what's also interesting is that I don't know how these drivers do it, but it's 90 degrees and you're driving inside the car. And inside the car, it's like 130, 135.
Yeah.
And I just thought to myself, I don't know how these guys do it. Now, even though Donovan McNabb said, NASCAR is not a sport, drivers are not athletes. Well, guess what? You're dead wrong again. Try racing in a car for 4 hours in 90-degree heat while the car inside's like baking like an oven, like at like 135, whatever. But
consider this real quick. Donovan McNabb is not a really great quarterback. So for him to lash out at another sport when he was mediocre to good at best, I laughed at him then, and I laugh at him now.
Yeah.
So, like you said, if your ambient temperature is 90 degrees and people in the stands are sweltering, consider that inside the car, like you said, even with a cool suit, you're sweating your brains out. It's about $130. Now you take 40 cars on a track, unmuffled, and they are tearing it up. The track temperature, and you guys always see that little box in the lower third of your screen during every race. Somewhere in the middle, it tells you the ambient temperature, the car temperature, the track temperature. Think about that. I don't know too many people who could sit in a car at 130 degrees without air conditioning and drive 10 miles, let alone 400.
Yeah.
So Donovan McNabb can kiss all the butt that he wants. Anyway, when you said Tyler Reddick made a championship statement, obviously, and I know I'm skipping ahead just a little bit, but I want to kind of give you guys this breakdown. Tyler Reddick is still in the championship lead. He has 2 wins, but underneath him you have Bell with 3, Custer with 2, and then the 4th place car is Austin Cindric. Here's the breakdown. Tyler Reddick right now is 65 points ahead of second place, 103 ahead of third place, and 106 ahead of 4th place. What does that mean right now? He keeps building that lead, and that's fantastic. But once you get into the playoffs, everybody has to remember, winning you're in. If you gather enough points, and if there's 4 winners, you're still asked out, pardon my language. He has to collect wins in the playoffs.
Right.
You can build. He could build a 200-point lead with 2 wins and stay in that number 1 position all he wants. Once he gets down to playoffs, he's got to cross that stripe first more often than he doesn't.
Right.
So, I'm just going to run through the running order. I'll ask Corey again what he thought of the race. Again, I only got the 2-minute highlight video. Once again, Tyler Reddick comes on the first picture statement. I love that. That is a fantastic. Jeffrey Earnhardt with a surprising third place spot in number 18. Noah Gragson 4th. He's reminded me about Noah Gragson. I want to talk about his little Twitter exchange. Justin Haley 5th, Michael Annett 6th, Jeff Burton 7th, Ryan Sieg 8th, Austin Cindric 9th, and Brandon Jones comes in 10th. Other notables, you had Ross Chastain in 11th, John Hunter Nemechek in 12th. Going down the list, you had nobody's favorite, BJ McLeod in 18th, Chase Briscoe 19th, Vinnie Miller 23rd, Cole Custer 24th. Whoever is texting you needs to stop. I'm losing my concentration.
Yeah.
Austin Dillon in 28th. Christopher Bell, terrible day for him in 31st. Joe Nemechek was in the race in 32nd. Bailey Curry 33rd. Landon Castle 34th. Jeff Green did not finish in last. He finished in 37th. I know we're about to do happies and sets, but overall, other than Tyler Reddick, who just, like you said, put a heavy stamp on, I'm the champ, I'm the guy to beat, who impressed you the most in this race?
So one guy that impressed me the most was definitely Noah Gragson. I mean, to finish in 4th in that 9 car, I thought it was a really good job for him. And then my sad would definitely have to go to Christopher Bell. I mean, he was going to have a dominant car. Then, of course, he had a tire failure early in the race, which that took him out of contention.
In a place like Charlotte, you can't have problems like that and expect to bounce back. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. In this case, it was one of the don'ts. I had the same exact happy and sad. Now, I don't know if you saw Noah Gragson's exchange with a fan on Twitter recently. Noah Gragson had a fan or a not fan basically give him the business on Twitter. I hate Noah Gragson, da-da-da-da. He goes, hey, great. PM me your address. I'll send you a hat and a shirt. I thought that was the best move Noah Gragson could have made. I actually tweeted back, hey, I hate you too, wink, wink. I'm hoping for a free hat and a shirt. But it's the only time. Well, he was in the 9 that week. I don't know if he'd send me 18 gear, 32 gear, 89 gear, whatever car he's running that day. I'd take free Noah Gragson stuff. I should try that more. Tell an athlete I hate them and say, hey, if you love me so much, let me send you some free gear. Dear Aaron Judge, you suck. I hate you. Here's my address. Maybe I'd get some free Aaron Judge gear. You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
Oh, you know what? Because I have a new favorite Bruin because Chara's on his way out. Dear Charlie McAvoy, you are a dirty player. I hate you so much. Chris, give me your address. I'm going to send you free gear.
That's Charlie McAvoy. That's Charlie McAvoy. That's the kid that's from Weymouth, right?
Yeah. No, that's Charlie Coyle.
Charlie Coyle. Yeah, Coyle. Yeah. That's
13.
That's pretty impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, McAvoy is the again. We're going on hockey now. McAvoy is the defenseman that had the dirty hit shoulder first against one of the Whaler Canes and only got 2 minutes for it, which he should have gotten a 5-minute major. But again, that's hockey. We had the same stats for the Xfinity race. So now let's go to points and then the picks. Big week this week. You guys get ready. So Tyler Reddick leads the charge. We broke down the top 4, but let's give you the names. Tyler Reddick is in the lead first with 520. Christopher Bell second with 455.65 back. Cole Custer is third with 417. He's 103 back. Austin Cindric is fourth, 414, 106 back. Justin Allgaier, Chase Briscoe sixth. John Hunter check seventh. Noah Gragson eighth. Ryan ninth. Michael Annett 10th. Justin Haley is in 11th, and Brandon Jones rounds out your top 12 because 12 cars go to the playoffs in the Xfinity Series. Locked in already are Michael Annett, Cole Custer, Christopher Bell, and Tyler Reddick. Too early to say if that's going to be your championship 4, but if you have to throw a wild card in there, and right now I'm really looking, I hate to say it, I don't hate to say it. I think it's a really good choice. Austin Cindric is going to be a spoiler in the playoffs.
That one wouldn't surprise me quite a bit. And I know he only has like 4 top 5s and 9 top 10s. I mean, yeah, I definitely want to see what this kid can do for the 22 team at Team Penske. But I would probably say, maybe spoiler because, of course, well, I shouldn't say spoiler because then yet again you got that road course in the playoffs, the Charlotte Roval. So that's the only race I think that Chastain. That's the only race that's the only race that Austin Cindric could win because, of course, like we mentioned before, Cindric is really good when it comes to road courses, and I would probably say that if he doesn't win a race on the oval sometime soon, definitely watch him when it comes to the road courses. Like I'm talking Watkins Glen, Mid Ohio, and then Road America, and then the Charlotte Roval. So I really think those are going to be the races where he'll step up and possibly I wouldn't be surprised but possibly Cindric could make that championship 4. I mean it's a 50-50 shot, but yeah, I would have to say definitely I would have to say maybe Cindric or maybe Allgaier or somebody like that, but I don't know. I mean, as far as I know, the big 3 in the Xfinity Series right now is what we're looking at is definitely going to be Reddick, Bell, and Custer.
Mm-hmm, absolutely, but when you look at Austin Cindric and coming off of Charlotte, which is considered a super speedway, in my opinion, he finishes 9th. Not bad at all. Now, you look at some of the races going down the stretch with Phoenix, Texas, some of the bigger tracks, and, of course, the Charlotte Roval. He could find a way to sneak in and tip the apple cart, much like Joey Logano did last year.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's go to the picks, and one of us is going home happy, and one of us is going home sad, and let's just break it down now. Corey had Christopher Bell as his lock. He finished 31st. He had Jeff Burton as a sleeper. He finished 7th. That's a total of 38. You divide that by 2. You get a total of 19. Am I doing my math right? Yes, 19. Whereas on the other side, I had Christopher Bell as my lock, just like Corey. He finished 31st. I had Chase Briscoe as my sleeper. He finished 19th. That's a total of 50. Divide that by 2. It's a finish of 25. Corey takes the 2 points for the Xfinity race this week.
Yes.
Now, don't get too excited. We still got a cup race to go, which we're going to talk about now, the longest race of the year. It was so exciting. 4 100-lap stages, and when it all said and done, Chelsea and my daughter Emma were cheering up a storm as Martin Truex Jr. crosses the line in first. Again, get past Kyle Busch crying. To see the lead change hands quite a few times and in such dramatic fashion, this was a fantastic race to watch, even though, if I'm doing my math right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Only 11 drivers led laps, but when you consider some of the drivers that led laps, and here we go, let's run them down. We had Hemrick leading laps, Keselowski leading laps, Hamlin leading laps, David Reagan led laps, Ryan Blaney led laps, Kevin Harvick accidentally led some laps, William Byron led laps, Alex Bowman led laps, Chase Elliott, Kyle Busch, and Martin Truex Jr. not a bad pool of leaders. The racing was fantastic. It was devoid of many major crashes. There was a few bumps, few bruises, and a few incidents. But overall, clean racing from flag to flag.
Yeah, definitely it was. And quick question. What was it? I think it was on lap 75 when Truex cut a tire and hit the wall or something like that. I mean, I would have to say
Yeah,
that. I mean, I would have to say that had Truex not scraped the wall and not had that much damage, I would say that the 19 car would have been dominant anyway. And what was it? I think they led like I forget how many laps they led, but yeah, the amount of
100
cautions.
plus.
Well, yeah, 100 plus laps and so forth. But again, this is another championship statement that the 19 did on Sunday, pretty much saying, okay, I won the championship before. I'm driving for a really good team, and this is going to be us. That you should be watching this year as well.
Sure. And again, forget about lap stages for 600 miles. And if I'm doing my math right, that's a mile and a half. So yeah, one of the faster mile and a halves we go to on the circuit. Championship statement indeed. What I also found impressive was in the late stages, or I say the late stages, in the late laps of the race, coming down to say 30 to go, 20 to go, clean racing, and Joey Logano really put on a show to try to get to Martin Truex Jr. Thought he had him at one point. He drifted back a little bit. You're talking about the last two champions just telling you, without saying a word, driving their cars, going to the finish, why they are two of the absolute best in this business.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about it. And actually, there was one funny part in the race. Do you remember what was it? I think it was like on the last restart when David Reagan was restarting on the front row, and I forget what happened. I guess there was some radio chatter. I guess like the team said, "Oh, you gotta like conserve your position or whatever it is," or I don't know. But and then I guess David said, "Oh hell no, we're gonna go for the win because it's the Coke 600 and we're in a really good spot." I really thought that was spot on, perfect, and the fact that here's Front Row Motorsports, which of course the only time that they won was at Talladega a few years ago. I really thought what David said was spot on, and even if it was Chris Buescher, if it was somebody else, they would have said the same thing too.
When you look at some of these guys that are running for underfunded teams and they find themselves not just in the top 5, but in the top 10, yeah, push that pedal to the floor and do something. It's how you get noticed.
Yeah,
And for him to make that statement was fantastic.
yeah.
Again, as I look down the list, he finished in the top half of the field, a 15th place finish. But for him to want it that bad, and he's been to victory lane before, yeah, you want to do that. Stop with all the fuel mileage crap. Let me push this car to the limit. That's what you hired me to do. If all you want me to do is go ride around and do that, maybe we should go join Jeff Green on the Xfinity series and continue to finish 35th or worse.
Yeah,
Now,
I would say so too.
of course, as I say that, Jeff Green is going to come up big in the next few weeks and finish in the top 10, and now I'm just spewing garbage.
Right.
Jeff Green is a former champion, though. We can't forget that. But anyway, I took a lot of great things away from this race. One of the things was that the young guns came out in force, number one. Number two, Jimmy Johnson with a top 10 at a track he is very good at. And number three, to see some potential championship contenders having terrible days, finishing in the bottom half of the field, not the greatest day. However, going forward, when I look at the top 10, you're looking at, with the exception of Chris Buescher and potentially Ricky Stenhouse Jr., all championship contenders.
I would definitely say so, except for Stenhouse.
You consider Chris Buescher a championship contender?
I don't know, because like, of course, Stenhouse and Buescher finished in the top 5, but these guys have been running average this season.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, let's get to the breakdown, then we'll get to halfies and sets, the points and the picks. So, as you already know, Martin Truex Jr. finished first, Joey Logano second, Kyle Busch finished third, Chase Elliott fourth, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. fifth, Chris Buescher sixth, Alex Bowman seventh, Jimmy Johnson eighth, William Byron 9, and where did he go? Kevin Harvick finished 10th. other
Yeah.
notables you had Corey LaJoy finishing in 12th. Had to mention him. Could have mentioned the guy in front of him or the guy behind him, but wow, what a great run for Corey LaJoy. David Reagan, 15th. Going down the list, you had Brad Keselowski, 19th. Daniel Hemrick, 21st. Ty Dillon, 23rd. Kurt Busch, 27th. Nobody's favorite. BJ McLeod finishes 29th. By the way, if anybody has a BJ McLeod t-shirt and wants to send us a picture of you in it, not only will we give you a shout out, we'll give you 10 reasons why you should. Rory 31st, Cotton 33rd, Austin Dillon 34th, Matt Benedetto 39th, and probably the guy I felt the worst for, and I'm just going to say it right now, he's my sad, Eric Jones in last in 40th. So now that I got my sad out of the way, I give a little happy, and my happy is going to go to Chris Buescher with a 6th place finish. Just a great run for that kid.
Yeah.
So now we need yours.
Okay, so my happy, I would definitely go to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. I mean, finishing in the top 5 for Roush Fenway, I thought it was pretty impressive. My sad, let's see, my sad definitely, of course, that was my Alexa. That was Alexa silence. Thank you. But anyways, my sad would definitely have to go to Eric Jones, of course, finishing 40th.
All right. Well, let's go to the current point standings. Then we'll go back to the picks, and then we'll talk about Pocono. Anyway, Kyle Busch leads the charge in first with 528. Joey Logano second with 522. Chase Elliott third with 478. Each of those guys has a win or multiple wins in their pocket.
Yeah.
Cementing them into the playoffs. Mr. Invisible Kevin Harvick somehow is still in fourth with 478 in a virtual tie for third, but no wins. Brad Keselowski is fifth with 459, 3 wins. Martin Truex sixth, 443 wins. Kenny Hamlin seventh, 434, 2 wins. Kurt Busch is in eighth, Ryan Blaney ninth, Alex Bowman 10th, Clint Boyer 11th, Eric Almirola 12th, Daniel Suarez 13th, Jimmy Johnson 14th, moved up 2 spots this week. William Byron 15th, and Kyle Larson is on the bubble in 16th. The question I have for you,
all right,
and I'm just looking at the points real quick. 12 through 16. Almirola, Suarez, Johnson, Byron, Larson. Which one of those guys has the biggest potential to fall out of championship contention? We are almost at the halfway point of the season. Let me do my math. 3, 4, 5, 8, 11, 13. We are at the halfway point of the season. All right, 13, 26, 10 races. Okay. Almirola, Suarez, Johnson, Byron, Larson. Who has the biggest danger of falling out of championship contention?
all right. Easy for me to say this, but it definitely would have to be Kyle Larson.
I agree wholeheartedly. As much as I hate to say it, I like that kid. He is just so awesome. Not just racetrack, but his off the racetrack activities and charities. But if that 42 team doesn't find something, they're going to find themselves outside looking in.
Yeah.
And the guy who's going to sneak in is the same guy that always sneaks in. It's going to be Ryan.
Yeah.
All right. So now let's go to the picks, and we start with Corey once again. He took Joey Logano as his last finish. He took William Byron as his lead finish. He took Clint as his hopeful. He finished 24th. That is a total of 35. You get that 3. Corey, your finish just 12.5.
All right.
I finished 10. Eric Almirola is my left. And I took Matt Benedetto as my hopeful. He finished 39th. That's 60. You divide that by 3. That's a finish of 20. Corey Uphagen, for the second time this season, has swept the picks after being swept 3 times. So your point standings, Corey's 5 points against my no points. The rule is 41, Chris, 32, Corey. Corey took a 5-point lead. He's only behind by 9 points. And I'm feeling that with Pocono, you're going to take an even bigger lead, my friend.
Yeah.
because I'm explaining this to the listeners as soon as we get there. But we go to the green rolling hills of Pocono, Pennsylvania this weekend. And Corey, tell us what we can expect.
All right, so Saturday we have the Xfinity Series, the Pocono Green 250 on FS1, 1 o'clock Eastern Time. And then, of course, on Sirius XM Channel 90, which, of course, you have the Motor Racing Network.
The voice of NASCAR. You like the new gimmick? I made this.
Well,
I
like,
lost the
yeah.
old
Oh,
gimmick.
okay, there it is. I see it. Never mind. I see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the new gimmick. Yes.
I lost the old one, so I had to make a new one for both MRN and PRN.
Yes. So let's see.
All right,
Looking at the entry list, so the only two Cup guys that are going to be running this weekend are Ryan Preece, who's going to run the 8 car for Junior Motorsports, and then Austin Dillon, who's going to run the 2nd car for Collie Racing as well. So other than that, you have Cole Custer, you have Garrett Smithley, Michael Annett, Tyler Reddick, Ross Chastain in the 4, Justin Allgaier, Greg Alding, Noah Gragson, Justin Haley. Let's see, Camden Murphy in the 17. I don't know why I mentioned his name. Let's see, Jeffrey Earnhardt in the 18. Brandon Jones, Christopher Bell, Austin Cindric. Let's see, John Hunter Nemechek, Joey Gase, Jeff Green, Ryan Sieg. Let's see, let's see, Ronnie Bassett Jr. And last but not least, you have Chase Briscoe.
All right, my friend. Why don't you take your picks first?
Okay. So my favorite on this one, and even though the Xfinity guys have they've only done a couple races at Pocono through the last few years, and I don't know, because it's kind of weird, because I know last year, I forget who won last year. I know last year it was Kyle Busch who won the Xfinity race last season, but I'm going to say my lock on this one, I'm going to go with Tyler Reddick. After coming off, the win at Charlotte, I thought to myself, Pocono's a 2-mile racetrack, which of course it's the tricky triangle, and then of course you take it 4 wide going into turn 1, maybe 5 wide, whatever. But I don't know. I really think that this is going to be a car that I think it's going to be a one to beat. And my sleeper on this one, I'm going to take a stab at it. But my sleeper on this one, I'm going to go with Austin Cindric in the 22. And sometimes when you go to Pocono, like they do a little bit of a road course strategy, like they pretty much run the race backwards and stuff. So technically, what it is, you're gonna have some guys play the fuel mileage game, and I know when it comes to Pocono in Xfinity or in the Truck Series, there's not a lot of stage laps, so that's when you want to. These guys are gonna try and pit early, so then that ought to weigh like. If you do pit during the stage caution or if you pit during the race, then you're going to lose valuable track position. So I really think this is going to be interesting, not only Saturday, but also Sunday as well.
But the gorgeous thing about Pocono is you can pit off sequence.
Yeah.
And when the eventual caution comes up and everybody ducks in, if you only win, say, 10, 20 laps earlier, yeah, you've got 10, 20 laps on tires, but it's not like having 60-plus laps on your tires. You can make that up. Big tension, win the stage, go in, duck in with everybody else, and still be in contention. We basically matched our lock pick. I also took Tyler Reddick as my lock. And once again, momentum. I'm taking Jeffrey Earnhardt as my sleeper. Wow, every time you mention this name, he gets better and better and better and better. Maybe this is the weekend that Jeffrey Earnhardt comes up big on the Xfinity Series.
Yeah.
All right. Fine. Again, you're doing so well with these drop-ins. I love it. Every single week. Every single week. All right. So now we go to Sunday. Guys, I'll only be watching part of this race. My daughter has a softball game in the late afternoon. I will not be listening on whatever station has it. I will watch until I can't take it and then go to the softball game. So, Corey, tell us where, when, how, and why.
All right, so Sunday you have the Pocono 400, 2 o'clock Eastern Time on FS1. And then, of course, on Sirius XM Satellite Radio, Channel 90, which, of course, you have the Motor Racing Network.
The voice of NASCAR.
All right.
I added the hearts for tzatziki sauce. I hope she enjoys this.
Yeah, I hope she does, too, which I love her, too.
Well, I didn't say anything like that. Don't make this like creepy. Come on.
Yeah.
All right, so give us the list, and we'll make our picks.
Okay, so my lock on this one. Let's see. Did it? Okay. My lock. I'm gonna go with Kevin Harvick on this one. As much as the fact that he's never
You're
won a
about to be
Pocono before.
disappointed. You're gonna be disappointed. I'm telling you now.
Okay. Well, even though that Harvick's never won a Pocono before, I really think this is the weekend where the 4 team is going to get their first win of the season. And let's see, my sleeper, I'm going to go with Ty Dillon. Now, even though that this kid's had a good run before, I really want to see how he could do in that 13 car. And then my hopeful, I'm going to go with Chase Elliott.
All right, let me explain to the people what I did before we went hot. I just don't like Pocono. Never have, never will. And that double weekend next year, the year after, whenever it starts, it's going to be the one weekend where I'm just going to be, I don't know, mowing the lawn, painting the house, whatever. So I said, before we went hot, I said, producer, Eddie, pick 3 numbers between 1 and 40, and whatever those numbers land on, those are my picks for this week. Strangely enough, even with Eddie blind picking, Corey and I matched 1 pick. So here we go. Eddie picked number 12. My lock. That would be Corey LaJoie. Yes, there's no reason why other than Ed picked it. Pick number 23, that's Ty Dillon. I'm going by this week's finishing results, by the way. You can see that Coca-Cola 600. Ty Dillon is my sleeper. And I'm not upset with the hopeful. I'm actually only upset with the lock right now. My hopeful, he picked number 39. That's Matt DiBenedetto. He's going to be my sleeper. There's no reason to any of this other than I just don't like Pocono. Never have, never will. Even when it's on the video game and I'm running a full season, I skip both Pocono races. Just can't stand it. Don't like it. Don't want anything to do with it. It just is what it is. So when we go back to Pocono, I might let one of the kids pick it. I might let some random stranger on the street pick it. Not sure, but I could care less about what happens in Pocono. I'm sorry if that's upsetting to people. You know, you like what you like, and if that's what you like it for a reason. Just not my style. I love every other race on the circuit but Pocono. Sorry, not sorry.
Right.
All right. So, as we're closing this out tonight, I ask you this question every single week. Corey, do you have anything you want to pimp, plug, or otherwise push upon the people?
Okay, so keep following us on the C&J Speedway Review. We are at Facebook, so make sure you guys look us up and so forth. Let's see. Instagram, we are at CJ Speedway. And then Twitter, we are at CJ_Speedway as well. And, of course, yeah, that's literally that I have all tonight. So,
all right. The Loki Jabroni show came back last night. We had a little bit of a random episode. We had viewer questions. We broke down our top 10 favorite sitcoms of all time. Had discussion about gun control. We had discussion about just about everything. Next week, we're coming back strong with something that the unofficial mayor of Middletown, Miss Lindsay Freilich, brought up. And I think it's a great topic. Pick a band or a musician that you hate and tell me one song you like by them. So we're going to come in probably 3 to 5 songs strong. I can already tell you Nickelback will be on my list because I hate Nickelback. I hate Nickelback. But I see, Corey, you're wearing a Brothers Osborne t-shirt, which I am a huge fan of the Brothers Osborne. Ain't My Fault is one of the greatest songs I've ever heard in any genre, anywhere. It was on the first episode of My Journey with Music, which will be coming back once we figure out the logistics. You guys will get a bi-weekly, like a roadmap through my musical likes, tastes, interests, etc. Unfortunately, it will no longer be produced by Eddie Focus, but will still be on the network. We have another producer coming in who's going to be not producer emeritus, not executive producer. He's just going to be a producer, but He is also the interim co-host of the Loki and Jabroni Show, Mr. Chris Strikers Lynch. And we're going to have some fun. We're going to get this music out to all of you. Hope you have fun with it. If you haven't looked at it, go to iTunes or Apple Podcasts or whatever you call it, the purple icon. Find all of our shows, C&J Speedway Review, Loki and Jabroni Show, My Journey with Music, and also I would be remiss if I did not mention Basement Quest, which is Loki's and Eddie's RPG, video game, anything having to do with gaming, it's there for you. Find them on Facebook, find them on Twitter, and it's called Basement Quest. I actually watched some of the things that Eddie has done and that Mike has done, and they're doing a fantastic job. Couldn't be prouder. The Focus Digital Network grows and grows every single week, and we're having more fun. I think I'm having more fun now than I've had in a long time. The 2-week break was fantastic, even though Corey and I kept going on Facebook Live. But the other shows, obviously the music show has been in mothballs for a little while. It's coming back with a vengeance. We're going to have some fun. Let's just keep supporting each other. And Corey, I know you have an iPhone. Have you subscribed to the Loki and Jabroni Show or My Journey with Music?
I want to say I have. I'm not really sure.
Well, you better get on it. Anyway,
Yeah.
One question for you before we go. And I've been thinking about this for a couple weeks. You, from what I have gathered from you, and watching your Facebook feed and paging back through the pictures, when you got into racing, you were a huge, huge RCR fan.
Yeah.
There's pictures on your gimmick with Kevin Harvick and all of the guys that I mentioned Kevin Harvick because that was RCR's guy for many, many years. Then you had Austin Dillon, Ty Dillon, all these guys. Can I ask you a really crazy question?
Yes.
Do you have a favorite car driver?
I'm sorry. Could you say that again?
Do you have an actual favorite Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series driver?
Okay. I'd probably say if I wanted to pick one, I would have to say probably Harvick during the GM Goodwrench days.
I'm talking about now, like when you sit down, you're in your chair, you have your beverage, whether it's a coffee, Diet Coke, 7-Up, you're watching the race. Who are you rooting for?
I'd probably say now I'd have to say Daniel Hemrick.
Okay, great choice. Great
Yeah.
choice. Now, excuse me. Now I'm acting all Corey-ish, slurping and burping all the way through the episode. We're going to close it out with this. Guys, who is your favorite driver? If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, go to the Facebook page, go to the Twitter, go to the Instagram. Tell us who your favorite driver is. Let's have some fun. Let's talk about it little by little, piece by piece. Maybe we'll pick on you. Maybe we'll agree with you. If you come in saying Kyle Busch, maybe we'll delete you from Facebook forever. We don't know. But I just want to know, who do you guys root for on Sunday when you sit down in your easy chair? It's easy for me. You can see by my shirt, I root for Kyle Busch. Lies, all lies. But, hey, we all root for who we root for. We all have fun, and we all do it for a good reason. I can already say, before he even answers, Jason Blue, former guest, will come back with Chase Elliott in the number 9. So, without further ado, we're going to close this episode out. Thanks for joining us. Join us next Wednesday, if I'm doing my math right. There is no Bruins game next Wednesday, which is why we were not on last night. I have to give Corey and I a lot of credit. We are loyal to our Bruins, currently tied with the St. Louis Blues in the Stanley Cup playoffs, 1-1. Terrible game last night. Don't want to talk about it. Don't feel like talking about it. Don't want to bore you guys with a sport that you may or may not like, but terrible to watch. I'm always excited when overtime hockey happens because bonus hockey, man, you get more than you paid for. But last night, terrible. Just terrible. So, without further ado, we'll see you next Wednesday for the 2 most famous words in podcast history. I throw it to Mr. Corey Huffnagel.
Good night.
You never fail. You never fail. That's a beautiful thing.
Oh, no.
All right, so